Okay, welcome to a job shadow on set here with my brother Stockton behind the camera. And today we are shooting a real estate video. We're in a $10 million home. We'll cut to some awesome shots of it right now. And this job was given to me by my buddy Colton, who got the job. He's my aerial pilot. You'll see him later on. But he hired me as a cinematographer to do all the indoor work and to operate the heli's camera. So those are my two jobs today. We are just getting set up right now. And today I'm going to be using the Movi over the GlideCam. People always ask me why I choose GlideCam or why I choose Movi. In this instance, we are using a Movi because we're in a very controlled setting. There's, for the most part, no moving objects or inanimate objects. I'm filming a house. And so when I'm in controlled environments, I tend to use the Movi because I can get exactly the shot I want because there's not going to be any surprises. For example, if we were shooting parkour in here and we had a parkour guy jumping down the railing and I had to whip really fast, the Movi's not very good for that. It doesn't do very quick movements. It's very slow, controlled movements. But since there aren't any fast moving things happening, the Movi is a better option for me because I can get a very controlled, almost robotic, mechanic move to it. So different tools for different situations. We are filming an on-camera actor today who's going to be kind of walking around and displaying some of the things and talking to camera. So that's the only moving subject, but I'm going to be blocking him and directing him and telling him exactly what to do. So I'm going to know exactly which movements to make every take. So it's a very controlled environment. So for controlled environments, I like to use the Movi because it is a little bit smoother, more mechanic looking move. And there are times where you want more of a handheld, more being able to whip back and forth for quick movements with the GlideCam. So just different tools for different scenarios. Today we're going with the Movi. So the camera we're using today is the 1DX Mark II. Just got this for about $6,000 off of Amazon about 2 or 3 months ago. This camera is a dream. I'm going to be shooting at 4K at 60 frames today for most of this video shoot. And you see here I have my Red Weapon. I just got him a couple months ago as well. And people would ask me, why aren't you using the Dragon, a $50,000 camera over a $6,000 camera? And the answer to that is, the Red is an awesome camera. It's a different tool for different situations. It doesn't do very well in low light. And since we're indoors for most of this video, and a lot of this house is low light, we don't have the time to set up lighting for every single room. That would be like a 4-day shoot trying to light every single room in the house. So to make things simpler, we're using the Canon because this does amazing in low light. Plus I love the colors. It's going to be a lot easier to edit using in-camera colors versus having to color correct the Red footage. And that's one thing. The Red shoots raw, which is really great for like shooting a movie and going with a very specific color grade and look. But for this house, we just want vibrant, happy colors. And Canon, in my opinion, has better in-camera colors. And so that's why I'm choosing to go with the Canon camera. In-camera colors, quick for editing, and ultimately a lot better low light. Not to mention that camera's a lot heavier, a lot more of a hassle to use. Battery life is a third of the time. A lot of negatives to using Red. So unless I have a very specific reason for using Red, not to manage data management, a lot bigger files, 6K versus 4K, and this client is going to want a 1080 finalized product, so we don't really need much more resolution than 4K. So this will do the job just great today, so that's why we're using this guy. Alright, so we are starting our filming now. This is going to be a lot of shooting because this is a giant home. So because we're doing lav mic audio, I just make sure to set the sound recording to manual, and the recording level is just 1 notch above 0. We're not doing any audio yet, so right now we're just shooting B-roll of the house, but I want to make sure that audio is set for when we do start doing audio. Recording quality, we're doing 4K at 60 frames. There's going to be a few times when I go to 1080, and the reason for that is because when this camera shoots at 4K, it uses a smaller portion of the sensor, which makes it a 1.35 crop factor versus full frame when I shoot at 1080. So there's going to be some rooms that I want to get a wider shot on, and instead of having to change out lenses, I'm just going to shoot it in 1080, which would give me a full frame instead of a 1.35 crop factor. When I'm shooting Dallin on camera, because he's going to be talking with audio, that's going to be all at 24 frames, 4K at 24 frames per second, because that stuff I don't want in slow-mo. I want real time because I'm using the audio from that. Because this camera does really good autofocusing, I'm actually going to keep it on so that no matter where I'm moving, getting closer or farther away to things, I'll always have the center of my image in focus. So it's called FlexiZone AF. So picture style we're using, sharpness down to 0, contrast is going to be at 0, saturation is +1, and color tone is at 0. So pretty much all I'm changing is bringing the sharpness down and boosting the saturation up 1. That'll just give me a nice vibrant look. So now we're going to talk about exposure. Depending on the type of room we're in will depend on the exact exposure settings we use. White balance will also depend on the rooms we're in. So here's our image right now. I'm going to shoot everything at, when I can, I'm going to shoot at 125 shutter. That will allow me to have twice the shutter speed of my frame rate, which is 60 frames. So we're shooting at shutter 125, aperture 2.8, and ISO 400. 400 is the native ISO for this camera. So those are my settings for exposure, and then white balance, I'm going to be at about 5,000. So with these kinds of shoots, you have a mixture of outdoor light, which would be at 5,600 Kelvin, and indoor light, which is about 32 to 4,000 Kelvin, depending on the lighting. And so it's kind of a mix of both lighting. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it and setting it to the white balance that to me looks the most correct. Looks like my whites are being white. So right now I'm gonna do a take at 1080, just so I have an option of the wider full frame look. But here is take 1.
I see what you're saying. Just the balcony itself is not not the most unique thing.
This room, it's super low light. I'm going shutter speed of 60. I'm bumping the ISO up to about 3200. White balance down to 3200 because this is all indoor lighting. And I'm gonna go to 1080p now because I want to get a wider look. We're in a small space here in the closet, so I want to use that full frame. And now I have a wider look. Keep in mind, each of these shots is going to appear for maybe 3 to 5 seconds per clip. So these don't, I'm filming maybe 10 seconds just to give myself a little leeway on each end of the clip, but these aren't very long. So I'm basically getting 2 options. I'm getting just a straight push in, and then I'll do a tilt down push in. So I have 2 different looks for every room I do. Here we go. No. I was looking like,
yeah, like you were seeing that. Yeah, like
there we go.
I was going to do what you wanted me to do. And you were the,
I know, I didn't get you.
Down the hall, the main level master suite gives you room to stretch out with high vaulted ceilings and 2-story windows. And spa quality bathroom features make the warm and inviting master suite the perfect way to relax after a long day of adventure.
So I had to auto stream me the script so far so I can know what he's going to be highlighting in the text and the voiceover. And now I have a better idea of the things I need to shoot in every room. Ready? Push. So I'm doing 2 options, one in 4K, one in 1080. Benefits to both. 1080, like I said, you get a wider field of view, so you know, you get to see more of the house. 4K I'm shooting because it's higher quality. So some of these shots we don't need the full view. With the cropped 4K sensor, it'll be enough and it'll be a lot higher quality. So that's why I'm doing 2 options of everything I shoot. A 1080 option and a 4K option. Huge windows right here, bringing in a lot of daylight. So I got my white balance set to 5600 now. And it's brighter, so we have our shutter speed up to 125. Aperture at 3.2. Now we have a better exposure, and we're gonna get this sweet stairwell. I'm trying to get this a continuous shot all the way downstairs so that we can do a time remap if we want. So we're downstairs now. It's lower light down here, so got my shutter down to 60 aperture 2.8, and I'm busting my ISO up to maybe 1600. So right now it's at 5600 Kelvin from shooting a lot of daylight upstairs. I'm gonna put this down to 3200, and now our whites are looking a lot wider. As a rule of thumb, you always want your shutter speed to be twice your frame rate. I'm breaking that rule right now. My shutter speed's at 60, even though I'm shooting at 60 frames. You generally never want to do that, but because we're so low light, I'm making sure to do super slow, smooth movements, so there's not too much movement that would allow that low shutter speed to make it look too blurry. And so as long as I keep my movement super slow, I'm okay to have a shutter speed that low instead of bumping it up to like 125, which would then make me bust my ISO up to like 32 or 6400, which would make my image a lot grainier. So I'm sacrificing motion blur for a grainy image. And so as long as I keep my movement super slow, it won't be too much motion blur, and I can have a low shutter speed, which allows me to keep my ISO low, which then gives me a cleaner, sharper image and less grainy. So that's the reason why I'm shooting a 60 shutter speed and breaking that rule of having twice the shutter speed of your frame rate. So this is probably our lowest light room in the theater. We're gonna bump up to 3200 ISO. Luckily this is a good camera on low light. We'll have a little bit of noise in our image, but not too much.
This lower level of the home was designed to be the ultimate entertainment center for family and friends. You can enjoy a huge granite wet bar, luxury seating in your private surround sound home theater, or get some exercise in the gym.
Again, we have a green tint in this room, so I'm going with auto white balance, and it actually looks better with auto white balance. So the times I use auto white balance is when we have a weird tint that I can't deal with my manual white balancing, because the manual white balance, it goes from oranges to blues, your warms to colds, but it doesn't affect your tint, which is your greens to reds. And so when you put on the auto white balance, it will also give you an adjustment on the tints as well, but they don't always guess correctly. So in this case, it's guessing well enough, so I'm using it for this room. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
Family and friends are sure to have plenty of comfortable places to stay, with 6 ensuite bedrooms, including this cozy bunk room that gives kids their own slice of luxurious fun.
So we're almost done shooting the whole house. It's been about 2 hours, so we'll wrap up shooting the whole house in about, interior at least, in about 2.5 hours. And then we're gonna do about 1.5 hours outdoors, doing aerials, and then I'll do a couple ground shots. So we started shooting at 11. We'll finish up exterior by about 3, and then we have about 3 or 4 hours to shoot Dallin commenting and walking around the house doing his actual script. So our goal is to do this whole thing in about 7 to 8 hours of shooting and wrap up by about 6 or 7. So we're flying aerials now. Colton Sandoval is coming over here, is going to be our aerial pilot. We're flying the Inspire 1, DJI Inspire 1, shooting at 4K, probably at 30 frames, so we can slow down to 24 and get a nice smooth milky look to it. I'm just controlling the camera, he's controlling the actual helicopter, so we're going to be communicating with one another to get the best shots possible, and communication is key in this situation so that we can understand each other's moves and get the most cinematic shot possible. So be paying attention to the direction I'm giving and the communication back and forth, but my job is simply moving the camera. So the main goal of what we're shooting is he's just flying certain patterns, and my goal is just to keep the house framed in the middle. So now I'm twisting to the right as he goes down. So whenever we can incorporate movement, as much movement as possible, it makes the shots more dynamic and more interesting to watch. So that's why it's nice to have one person flying and one person on camera, so that you can work independently of each other and have a more cinematic shot. You want to do the ski lift one? Yeah. So we want to show that we're next to a ski lift, because this is a ski area. So with this shot, we're going to have the ski lift in the foreground and the house in the background. Okay, good, a little bit lower. And then you're just gonna fly over the cables and then over the house. Get as close to those wires as you can. Okay, that's good. So one of the big keys for getting cinematic shots in general, and especially with drones, is he'll be flying one direction and I'll be panning the camera the other direction. So as he goes this way, I'm panning the camera this way. And it creates this parallax effect, which makes the background look like it's moving and your subject is staying in the middle. So just in general, with GlideCam, Movi, aerial photography, anything where you can have a lot of movement, if you can pan your camera the opposite direction that you're moving, it gives it that parallax effect, which is super cinematic. Yeah. Go for it. This is Dallin, our on-camera presence, our actor for the day.
Hello.
He's the one who's gonna be walking around telling us about the house. We're gonna be lav mic'd up today. He's gonna be wearing this on his shirts, so we have some clean audio. And I'm gonna hook up the receiver to my camera on here. So that's this little guy you're seeing me put on top of the camera. So I'm putting that on first before I start balancing so that the audio goes directly into the camera, the footage I'm shooting.
Various balconies Park City has to offer with a private hot tub and unparalleled views.
Not bad. He's working on a script here. Putting some luxurious verbiage in there to really sell to, you know, those high rollers and
They like the word luxury, private,
private.
unparalleled.
Unparalleled. It means like not paralleled.
Like nothing is
Parallels.
really in parallel with it.
So I'm setting up a fill light here. He's just a little bit dark, you know, so brought this one light just to fill the other side. Most of the light's coming from these lights up here and the outdoor light, but there's no light coming from this side, so we just got one fill light over here. Help brighten them up a tad. This is set to 3200 Kelvin, like the lights up there, to match the lighting that already exists. So, degreasing.
Trying. Sitting over here sweating to death. Gonna look all shiny and shimmery in the camera. Heaven knows I can't have that.
Action.
The most extraordinary feature of this home is, of course, the indoor rock climbing gym. This is one of the world's largest residential climbing gyms with 35-foot-high Eldorado climbing walls. This section of the home is designed to keep you entertained and in shape with endless climbing sessions.
Action.
There are two wide-sweeping, stunning staircases made from Brazilian cherry wood, and the rails have been custom warped for over a year to perfectly fit this space. There are two wide-sweeping, stunning staircases made from Brazilian cherry wood, and the rails have been custom warped for over a year to perfectly fit this space. From the moment you walk in, you can see that this home has been designed with wide open spaces, creating a more natural flow. This maximizes your ability to entertain and socialize with family and friends. From the moment you walk in, you can see that this home has been designed with wide open spaces, creating a more natural flow, maximizing your ability to socialize and entertain with family and friends.
We got a storm coming in, so we're gonna grab the last
There's a storm!
one up front view.
I think I got it.
All right, so we're filming the intro to the video, and we're doing an aerial shot. So we're having the drone track him back as he's talking. Then when he finishes his line, it's gonna fly overhead and reveal the whole house. So the problem with that is we can't get usable audio with the drone buzzing in front of him and then flying over, because with the lav mic, it's gonna pick up all that audio of the drone. So what we're doing is we're just going to voice over what he's saying later on. So right now, he's saying it in real life, but he's mostly just mouthing it for us, so that afterwards in post, we can just voice over and then match it up, and that way we don't get any drone audio in the video.
Action! Welcome to Park City, Utah. Over my shoulder, you'll see Cloud Rest. Named after the legendary Cloud Rest in the city of Utah. This mountain escape is easily breathtaking as it seems.
So right now Dallin is watching back the aerial
Welcome to
shot
Park City, Utah.
and trying to
Right
dub
over
his
my shoulder is
voiceover.
Clouds Rest.
So we have
named after the legendary
audio
Clouds
to go
Rest
over
in
top of
Yosemite
the
National
video,
Park. This mountain
because the
estate
video
is every bit as
doesn't have audio because it
every
was
bit as
from a
breathtaking as its
drone.
namesake.
So he's trying to sync it up exactly.
Welcome to Park City, Welcome to Park City, Utah. Right over my shoulder, no. Welcome to Park City, no. Named after the Clouds Rest in no. Right over my shoulder is Clouds. Well,
Try again.
named after the legendary Cloud. That's their own slice of a. The home is equipped with 6 master. This home is the epitome of luxury mountain living. There's a bee on me. There's a bee on me. Welcome to Park City, Utah. Right over my shoulder is Clouds Rest. Named after the legendary Clouds Rest in Yosemite National Park, this mountain estate is every bit as breathtaking as its namesake.
We're gonna have you walk out the door to start it. Okay. So we'll say action, shut the door behind you, turn to the camera. This home with a diddle diddle. Action!
This home is the epitome of luxury mountain living.
All right, so that is it for our real estate video. That's the basics of what I do to create a real estate piece. There's different styles of real estate videos you can do. This one we use an on-camera actor to give a narrative throughout the house. Other times we'll just do a voiceover. In fact, half of this will be voiceover, half will be an actor narrating what's happening on camera. So it just depends on the style you're going for. Sometimes I won't use any voiceover at all, and I'll just do an on-screen text, and sometimes it'll just be purely video and music. But I'll show you now the final product so you can see how this looked. This is just one style to do. This is the style that the client asked for, so that's what we put together. In summary, I love using a wide-angle lens for real estate. I was shooting at 16mm the entire day at 4K and at 1080. Everything was shot at 60 frames and will be converted down to 24 frames to help give us that slow motion effect. Except for the shots of Dallin on camera, we wanted to use the audio, and so we couldn't slow that down, so we shot that all at 24 frames per second. I have used GlideCam plenty of times doing real estate videos. GlideCam works awesome as well, but I do usually use a little bit of warp stabilizer to help smooth it out a little bit. Whereas with the Movi, I probably won't have to use any warp stabilizer. As far as camera movements go, very simple movements with real estate. You don't want to get too crazy, too fast moving. You'll notice in this, I'm moving pretty slow, plus I'm slowing it down from 60 to 24 frames. So these are very subtle, slow movements, and with subjects like this where you just want the audience to be able to take in what they're viewing and not have to worry about a bunch of movement, I think movement is always good and brings a lot of cinematic aspects to it. But if you have too much movement, it can distract. So you want to make sure that you can control those movements and not move too quickly. Even when you're slowing it down, you want to make sure your moves are nice and slow. That goes for anything, for nature shots, for real estate. You don't want to move too quickly with those GlideCam shots, or else it's going to distract. I love just those super slow push-ins, just to give a little bit of movement, makes it super cinematic. So movements on this were pretty basic, pretty simple, pretty similar to what I do with the GlideCam. And as far as lighting goes, be aware and kind of gauge, you know, what directions you're shooting and what you're shooting, and gauge if it will look better with overcast or sun, and take advantage of that. So pay attention to what's going on outside with the sun. Some days are gonna be all overcast, some days are gonna be all sunny, and sometimes you're gonna have a mix. I personally like a mix because then, you know, especially when you're shooting inside, it's sometimes better to have overcast because then you don't have blown out windows all the time. Overall, I mean, we did this shoot in about 8 hours. We got here at 10, it's now 6 o'clock, we're wrapping up. That was about what I expected it to be. That's about what it takes to shoot one of these really well. If there is no voiceover or on-camera acting, we can do it in like 3 to 4 hours. So just kind of depends on the style you're going for. Everywhere in the world needs real estate videos, whether it's luxury $1 million homes like this or smaller budget homes. Everyone needs real estate videos. So if you hit up real estate agents locally, this is work that's always going to be available. Weddings will always be available. People are always getting married and people are always selling homes. So if you're a filmmaker and you're struggling finding work, hitting up real estate agents is always a sure go. It just depends on you being able to execute high quality products that people are going to want to buy and hire you for. So that's it, guys. That's the real estate video that I did today. If you guys have any further questions, please let me know.
Welcome to Park City, Utah. Right over my shoulder is Clouds Rest. Named after the legendary Clouds Rest in Yosemite National Park, this mountain estate is every bit as breathtaking as its namesake. Nestled on 4 secluded acres of fir and aspen forest, this home is a perfect escape into the beautiful Park City Mountains. From the moment you walk in, you can see that this home has been designed with wide open spaces, creating a more natural flow, maximizing your ability to socialize and entertain with family and friends. The large cherry wood paneled windows stretch from floor to ceiling, allowing brilliant amounts of natural light to highlight every spectacular detail of this home. There are 2 wide-sweeping, stunning staircases made from Brazilian cherry wood, and the rails have been custom warped for over a year to perfectly fit this space. This lower level of the home was designed to be the ultimate entertainment center for family and friends. You can enjoy a huge granite wet bar, luxury seating in your private surround sound home theater, or get some exercise in the gym. Family and friends are sure to have plenty of comfortable places to stay, with 6 ensuite bedrooms, including this cozy bunk room that gives kids their own slice of luxurious fun. And there are 10 bathrooms throughout the estate, each more beautifully decorated than the next. You'll find it hard to put your book down in this sophisticated cozy office library, detailed with a custom wood and metal fireplace and patterned wood ceiling. Down the hall, the main level master suite gives you room to stretch out with high vaulted ceilings and 2-story windows. And spa quality bathroom features make the warm and inviting master suite the perfect way to relax after a long day of adventure. And with a simple step out your door, you have access to this luxurious balcony, complete with your own private hot tub and the most incredible view Park City has to offer. There are 2 large attached garages, giving you plenty of room to store your summer and winter toys when you're not out exploring the mountainside. The most extraordinary feature of this home is, of course, the indoor rock climbing gym. This is one of the world's largest residential climbing gyms, with 35-foot-high Eldorado climbing walls. This section of the home is designed to keep you entertained and in shape with endless climbing sessions. And when it comes time to hit the slopes, you can get your gear ready here in this spacious and comfortable ski-in, ski-out prep room. And before the lift even opens, you can have first tracks down the mountain with direct access to Park City Mountain Ski Resort, one of the largest ski resorts in North America. So between the warm stone and wood elements, custom rock wall, and the best snow on earth, this home is the epitome of luxury mountain living.